What's going on, people, and welcome to Man Knows Football. You are here with Guni and Dec for today's episode of Transfer Talk. Obviously, my man here, Dec, is a Liverpool fan, loving the retro Liverpool shirt there. Dec, what year is that from? What season is that from?
I think it's 95, 96 or 94, 95. Robbie Fowler on the back.
So Dec's got a shirt there from 19 how long? So that should tell you original Liverpool fan right there. So we are going to be here to discuss three players. One of them has already officially been signed, Ibrahima Konate. There's other two players. One strongly linked. The other one, there's been rumblings about it, but it looks like Manchester United are kind of getting in on the act. The first one being Saul Niguez from Atletico Madrid and Leon Goretzka. But we will start with Ibrahima Konate. Right, so centre back, you signed him from RB Leipzig, 22 years old, French, has made 95 appearances for the club, 4 goals, 1 assist. So just going through the hard facts and numbers, for a 22-year-old with 95 appearances, that is a good wealth of experience in terms of first team football. Obviously, that's going to serve him well. But yeah, before I rumble on too long about this guy, I'm just going to let you go on about what you might like about this player and why you like this signing before I give my comments. Go ahead, Dec.
Yeah, very exciting signing. One of the new breed of like this unbelievable crop of French players that are coming through. You've got him and Upamecano, obviously from the same team.
Yeah,
Upamecano's gone to Bayern now. But it has actually been rumblings because he was the more sought after for the last couple of years. But there's been people sort of in the camp.
Upamecano, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's sort of the more well-known of the two, probably because Konate missed quite a few games of injured. But people like in the camp and stuff, or like people who watch Leipzig closely, have said that we probably got the better deal. The qualities that he's got, they just seem to stack up a little bit better. But no doubt, two of the best up and coming centre backs around. Big, I knew he was big, but some training photos came out the other day, and he's might be slightly bigger than Van Dijk. He's a big boy. Quick, like super quick, like Van Dijk quick as well.
He's rapid.
Good with the ball. I think he reminds me more of Matip play style than Van Dijk. He's not one of these that sort of is like dead lackadaisical like Van Dijk. You know what I mean? He looks like he's just coasting through. Mm-hmm. He likes to bring the ball out. Not the most elegant looking like Matip. A little bit unorthodox with the way he carries the ball, probably because he's so big. But yeah, he can break the lines with passes. He can drive out, which I think complements Van Dijk better, because Van Dijk will hit those diagonals and he'll just hold his position and sort of coast through the game. So very excited to see them two settled. And I think that could be a brick wall to get past next season.
No, absolutely. I have to agree. And one thing that you said was because, the talking has been between Upamecano, well, mainly him and Konate, but for a couple of seasons, I've maintained that Konate is the better centre-back. And if you actually statistically look at it, I might get the stats up and put it in the editing, but Upamecano has actually looked a lot better and has performed better with Konate next to him, which often says a lot. And a lot of people watching from outside of the box, they don't often take into consideration that a centre-back's partner might actually be the reason as to why this player is performing so well. And I think 100%. That's definitely the case with Konate. In terms of what I've seen from this guy and why I like him so much is because for his age, he seems to read that centre-back position very, very maturely. Mm-hmm. Very maturely. He's the kind of centre-back that you can trust. If you're his partner and you decide to step up a little bit, right, you know that he's there. You know that his positioning is going to be all right, and you know he's going to guide you. Yeah. Those are the things that I noticed from him over there at Leipzig. Another thing that I did like about him is how much he commands the rest of his defense when he needs to. Honestly, like you see him in some games where like you forget this kid is 22 years old and he's just letting his defensive line know like, get your shit together, switch it on. It's rare that you see that kind of maturity in a player like that. But definitely that's going to be a brilliant signing for you. Van Dijk obviously comes back after that injury to normal form. If he does, then that's going to look like an even more formidable defense than before, in my opinion, because you've strongly upgraded with that signing. So
Yeah.
that's a good depth. That's a good depth for him. So he's made 95 appearances. He scored 4 goals. No, I mean, these are not really stats for a defender that you really want to be focusing on too much. Do you know what I mean? So we'll move on quickly from that one. Obviously, congratulations to Liverpool. You signed him from Leipzig. I look forward to seeing him perform. Now, let's get on to the more exciting positions, because I'm not going to say that Konate is not an exciting signing, because he is. He's a defender. So we'll talk about the midfield now. The first one we'll talk about is Saul Niguez from Atletico Madrid. Centre midfielder, 26 years old, Spanish, made 337 appearances for the club, 43 goals and 19 assists. Now, this geezer, if you want to talk about a techie and silky midfielder, this is one man that we got to mention. Dec, let me know how this brother will slot into your midfield.
I think with Wijnaldum going, obviously the link came out of like absolutely nowhere. I think he's one of them sort of, you know, when you link to, when you sort of after, you know, your team's after a midfielder, and you're just sort of thinking, oh, who will we pick? Who can we go for? Who suits us? He's kind of one of them that like will slip everyone's mind. You know, he's not. I've always liked him. I think he's an unbelievable player, but it just slipped my mind. Like it didn't even come into my head until the links popped up. We'd been linked with Sanchez, Basuma, Neuhaus at Gladbach, but as soon as his name came up, I was like, forget those other guys. Yeah, like especially with Wijnaldum going, I think he's a perfect replacement.
He's an upgrade to Wijnaldum as well.
He's an upgrade as well, yeah. Like, but he's durable. He's one of these. He's not really ever going to get injured. He's always going to be available. So that side, because we've got a lot of injury-prone midfielders, so we need somebody who's going to come in and be a mainstay in that middle. So yeah, I was very excited when we're linked with him.
100%. And at 26 years old, the rumored cost that we'd have to pay for him, or whatever team would have to pay for him, is only 60 million euros. Now, I know a lot of you might think, well, that's still bloody expensive. Not for that quality. Not for that quality.
Not for someone that's got La Ligas under his belt, played at the highest level in the Champions League year after year.
And you've got to think that he was. Yeah, you got to think that this brother. Well, arguably the last season he was kind of in and out of the squad, but throughout the years he's been a mainstay in that team. And you're fighting against that dominance of Barcelona and Real Madrid, which is like a complete, from a financial standpoint. It's just the way that league is run is kind of crazy. I'm not gonna put it down. Obviously, it's not my position to do that, but there are financial setbacks that other teams that are not Barcelona and Real Madrid have to face, and they've got to make up those handicaps throughout their own way. So that's why we respect so much when a team like Atletico Madrid comes out and beats the stereotype and wins the La Liga. So fair play to them. He's been an integral part in that squad. I'm just trying to think. Your midfield would be absolutely ridiculous. So him with Fabinho and Thiago Alcantara next to him. What would his? Do you know what? Before I get too excited and I start just visualizing and going off the topic, bro. Let's get down to the football. Let's talk about the football and the tactic. How would he be used? How would you imagine Jurgen Klopp sliding him with them two in the midfield? Chat to us, Dec.
I think very similar to Wijnaldum, just in the sense if he'd probably come in, you'd still see Fabinho as a 6, and you'd probably say you're looking at sort of 2 8s again. When Fabinho came back into midfield at the back end of last season, we saw Thiago go from the 6 to the 8, and I think for the last sort of 10 games of the season, Thiago was one of the best players in the league. He was easily top 2 for us with Trent. So I think he had a good understanding with Trent off that right hand sort of number 8. So I think Saul would come in left hand side, number 8. Probably very similar to the role he's asked to do for Atletico. Just get up and down. You know he can do the defensive side.
Yep.
But you know when he gets on the ball that he can make stuff happen. He's got dangerous players in front of him. He can beat a man, which frees up a bit of space. He can slip. I'd be quite excited to see a little link up with Robertson and Mane with him, because he's got that little. Wijnaldum's got it as well, but I think Wijnaldum was a bit too reserved at times for us. So I'd like to see the shackles off a little bit more, and just let him go and express himself, and a bit like Thiago was afforded at the end of the season as well.
And and this is the thing, is like Saul, we've seen times where he's just shown his individual brilliance. One goal in particular that comes
Champions League goal.
Was against Bayern Munich. Oh my goodness me! And the thing is like, I know there's other goals that have just been at that caliber that he scored. I just can't reel them off the top of my head. But I feel, look, my approach with Simeone anyway, as much as I like what he's done at Atletico Madrid, there also comes the part of the style of football and do I enjoy it. And with Simeone, sometimes I battle. So I do think there is a lot more to see from him, because I do think, although Simeone has done very well with the squad, I still think that he's kind of holding back Saul's attacking potential in that squad. But I think if there's a manager that's going to get it out of him, Jurgen Klopp's that man certainly to do it. So I can imagine that being exciting times for you.
Definitely.
If that does happen, I'm pretty sure most of your fan base are hoping that's a strong link and you do actually follow through with that signing. I ain't gonna lie to you, that immediately upgrades you and definitely brings you into the conversation of fighting for the title again. Provided you keep your front three fit, though, you got to keep your players fit. But that's with every team. Do you know what I mean? Fitness, keeping your players fit is key for any title contention. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. 100%. So we've spoken about Saul Niguez, and we're gonna move on to the last player, Leon Goretzka, Bayern Munich. Now, this one is a strange one because I don't think it's a case that Leon Goretzka wants to leave. From what I've read, is that Goretzka just wants to be he wants more money than what he's on. I think he wants to be on equal parity to one of the higher earning players over there anyway. But Bayern Munich are not really in a financial position to be offering out these contracts to certain players like that.
No.
So, which obviously Premier League teams are looking at this and thinking, well, hang on a minute. Manchester United right now, admittedly, seem to be the one who are monitoring him the closest. But before Manchester United, I know for a fact that he was Liverpool. So let's go on to Leon Goretzka's stats. Obviously, Bayern Munich player, centre midfielder, 26 years old, German, has made 112 appearances, 25 goals, 27 assists. Obviously, his trophy tally, you're going to see it on the side of the screen. I don't want to be inaccurate with my numbers because that's actually a piece of information I forgot to get. So, viewers, please forgive me. Guni does make mistakes too, but I promise you I'll leave it on the side. So, another signing that I think would slot in beautifully into your squad, Leon Goretzka. Talk to me about Goretzka. What would you? How would he fit into your squad? Because he's not quite the same player as Saul Niguez, is he?
No. I think you'd sort of see him again. Klopp's not one to sort of change his system. I think he'd keep the same system, but he'd just ask for slightly different things. So I think, again, you'd probably see him come into that Wijnaldum position, but just put his own stamp on it. Klopp's got certain things that he wants from his midfield, and as long as he's getting that, there is that freedom to express yourself and impose your game on a football match as well. So, I mean, Goretzka, he'd be an ideal signing for us. I'd be unbelievable. I've been a big fan for ages.
Yeah. Schalke days.
And now it's like I don't know what they fed him over at Bayern Munich, but like it'd be a different animal.
It was that Hansi Flick
Even
diet, bro.
before,
It's that Hansi Flick diet. I don't know what that Hansi Flick diet is, but it turned them man into Hercules.
jacked.
Trust
But,
me. But go on, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
But he turned us down and opted to stay in Germany and go to Bayern Munich in 2018 or 19, whenever it was. So the link makes sense. We obviously like him. We tried to sign him before. I don't think in 2 years that's gone away. I know what you said about him obviously wanting more money. Now that's not we don't throw crazy money. But if it's a case of he just wants to feel valued and he wants parity sort of with the top earners of the club, then it's something we could make work. Obviously, it comes in probably a couple of 100,000 a week with a little bit more performance related on top to put him instead with the high earners at our club. I think it's something we can definitely do it. It's not financially impossible. And I think that'd be a perfect signing. I think if you ask me anyone that we've even been tentatively linked with, the two that we've touched on are the two at the top of the list. Now, Goretzka's a little bit of a pipe dream. I can't see it happening. I do fancy him to sign a new deal at Bayern. But yeah, again, I'd be gassed if we got him. It'd be an unbelievable signing. He's one of them, like he just takes you up to another level.
100%. So now my next question is, well, obviously, if you don't agree with me, let me know. But like in terms of player profile, the most similar midfielder that I see to him would be someone like Jordan Henderson. Out of the ones I could really compare to now. So obviously, my next question to you is what happens with Henderson if Goretzka comes in? Because you've got hypothetically, you'd have Goretzka, you'd have Fabinho, you got Curtis Jones, you've got Naby Keita. That's 4. Have I missed anybody? At Thiago, that's 5.
You've got Milner obviously as well,
and then you've got
but he knows his role in the squad. He's not banging down the door to start every game.
Absolutely not. Yeah,
I think it's interesting times. I mean, it sounds crazy because he's club captain and everything, but it is interesting times for Jordan Henderson. Obviously, I think he operated best for us sort of where we've seen Thiago play. And how good Henderson's been in the last couple of seasons. If Thiago's fit and firing, he's not displacing Thiago. And if someone like Goretzka comes in or Saul comes in, they're going to want to be playing most weeks. So it's interesting times but even like when in the last sort of 18 months when Henderson's been fit, even though he's club captain, he's not been a guaranteed starter. You know what I mean? Like, he's been left on the bench a lot more than like any other captain that you would see at a big club. You think of like all the other club captains like Maguire and Azpilicueta, and they start week in, week out. They're sort of one of the first names on the team sheet, but that's never been the case with Henderson. So when obviously all this has come out about a new contract, but his injury record doesn't sort of fill me with too much confidence going forward with that either. So it is very interesting times. And like you say, if someone like Goretzka comes in, you see Henderson's minutes becoming even more limited. Now, with his injury record, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because it means you've got another good rotational. Klopp's pretty good at rotating the team as well. Obviously, we can probably then focus, because Klopp's obviously disregarded the 2 domestic cups for the last five years. But a little bit more depth in squad might mean he can have a little bit of a run at one of the domestic competitions and get a few more minutes that way. And you've got Harvey Elliott as well. So we're quite stacked. I mean, we definitely need another midfielder, like a senior midfielder. But we are quite stacked. Naby Keita looking sharp today. Again, you just can't rely on it. Fitness is the main issue. It's not like we don't have bodies in there, but Henderson always prone to an injury. Thiago will miss a handful of games every year. Fabinho, he's not really injury prone, but he picks up little niggles, sort of playing his role where he'll miss games.
Yeah.
Keita made a cardboard. It's fitness. It was the same at the back as well, which is why.
Yeah, that was horrific. You lot were just plagued with him. Yeah, it was horrific. So, I don't remember seeing anything like that for a long time. It was
it's unprecedented.
Yeah, it was horrible. I've got two more questions on Henderson. So obviously the first one is, I think it's blatantly obvious whether you're a Liverpool fan or not that in terms of talent, he's not an elite talent. He's not somebody that it would be traditionally your first name on a Liverpool team sheet.
No.
So my question is this: does Jordan Henderson bring more of a leadership quality to the squad and just more galvanizes the squad and gives them that extra boost? Because one thing my stepdad actually told me this, actually, big up Bernie, my stepdad, love you, man. He actually said Liverpool's winning stats are actually a lot better when Henderson's in the team. They win a lot more games when he's in the squad. So obviously we know that it's not about his quality. He's not the game changer necessarily. So it's got to be something else about him that he brings to the squad that Klopp obviously likes.
Yeah, I think energy. Obviously Klopp's sort of not been as high tempo. It's not been as chaotic the last couple of years. It's been reined in a little bit, but we're still a high pressing team, and so you need triggers. You need press triggers, and Henderson's brilliant at that.
Yeah,
he can run all day. He's got an unbelievable engine. But I think as well, the last season with no fans in the stadium, and you could really hear like the players on the pitch. I think that highlighted a big part of what you can hear. Like,
and I was gonna say
over the commentators.
Yeah, Dec, I was gonna say, and just from obviously not professional coaching experience, but decent level of coaching experience, the difference of having that one player, right, whether 100%. It's in your defense or it's at the front, to actually remember to initiate the press in this day and age in this game is so key. And if that's what Jordan Henderson's job was to do, you could see he did it well. Because look, when Liverpool were at their prime, there was no team in the world that could press better than Liverpool. Even systematically, when you look at it, right? When you take time and actually break down and you look at slow-mo, sky view angles, you can see just how in sync your players move.
Oh yeah. It's not running for the sake of running,
no,
which some people tend to think it is. It's every sprint, every closing down is done for a reason. It's done they're not running just towards the ball. You're running a certain area. You're cutting off a certain channel or a certain player.
Exactly.
And like you say, you go when they go. Like these triggers.
Yes.
You know when, if he goes, you know where you've got to go. And if he goes there, you know you've got to be there. It's like you say, it's organized chaos. That's the best way I think.
Yeah, that's the one. And then even outside, because even me as a coach, just stepping on the outside, I want to know in my head that, okay, cool. If the strategy is to press their defense, obviously you can't do it the same all the time. I need one of them to have a presence of mind to know sometimes, okay, we've got to lull them into a sense of full security. Let them play with the ball around the back. Then you press. You see what I'm saying? And that's where I was lucky in my own squad. I had that guy. I had Sekou. That was his name. He knew exactly. I didn't have to tell him. He knew exactly what to say. All right, boys, come, let's go. 9 times out of 10, we're recovering the ball in the final third of their half, and we're scoring. So I know the value. Definitely know the value that brings. So I can only imagine at a level like that.
Yeah.
My other question to you, sorry, Dec, I know I'm waffling a little bit, but I've got a couple questions.
Nice, cool.
My other question to you about Hendo would be this. So obviously, we've established that if one of these midfielders come in, he's definitely an upgrade. Would Henderson be happy sitting down and having a secondary role or just a squad rotational role? Or would you be happy to see him sold? Bear in mind, he's English, Liverpool captain as well. So there's a lot of value that you could probably get for him in the market, bro.
I don't say I wouldn't be happy to see him sold. Again, you can look back through like all my old tweets. I've never been the biggest Jordan Henderson fan. Like you say, I think he's a limited footballer. I think he's one of these that makes the most out of everything that he's got.
Yes.
But you can't underestimate, like, there's certain intangibles that, like, when you profile a player or you just look at stats or if you just watch the game of football, like as a casual, there's certain intangibles that you can't measure. Now Henderson is, now I want us to just circle back to Gerrard. Gerrard stepped out on the pitch and was the best player 9 times out of 10. And he led by example. He let his feet lead the team. Henderson's like the complete opposite, but he's an unbelievable captain, like off the field, on the pitch. Like he's an unbelievable bloke. Like, and I think that those personalities and the kind of dressing room that Klopp's built, like that can't be underestimated. And he's a massive, massive part of that. And what worries me, if you start bringing in players that are better footballers than him and are going to be sort of taking minutes away from him, I don't think he'll be happy. I mean, someone who's the captain of Liverpool, not long won the Champions League, not long won the Premier League, he's not going to be happy to play a bit part. He's not. Thanks. He's not too old to whereas he can't go to another good team and play week in, week out. So it's interesting. It's a balancing act that if we do bring in a big name in midfield that Klopp's got to get right. I think you're seeing it with Man City now, with a few players sort of saying they want to leave. Obviously, you've heard rumblings of Sterling wanting to leave because he's not happy with minutes. When you're a top player and you're trying to juggle a squad full of top players, minutes is the hardest thing to juggle. If you've got injuries, then you sort of can be a blessing in disguise because it keeps the players that are fit happy. But that's a hard part of being a top club with a stacked squad, which I think is why Klopp likes to keep a small squad, because it's easier to keep people happy, and as long as people stay fit, you're not going to end up pissing too many people off. But it's definitely an interesting season coming up in terms of Henderson.
Yeah, I see. Well, Henderson leaving the squad would be a mini transition. Obviously, a big transition would be to get rid of 3 or 4 senior players. But like, I'm not trying to underplay his importance to your squad. Got to respect what he's done as captain for your team. Bought you your first Premier League title for God knows how long. Again, I'll bring that stat up. Probably find it at the bottom of the screen. I think, and hear me out here. With Hendo, I think Arsenal would do well to sign him. Do you want me to tell you why? It's for those qualities that you just mentioned. It's exactly what they need.
There's a couple of I think United as well. I think they're sort of seeing a little bit of Harry Maguire brings that to them a little bit, but that kind of character is there's a few clubs at the top lacking someone like that. And like I say, it can't be underestimated. You don't need to have the best talent in the squad. Sometimes, like, just being the man and leading by example, and like everyone looks up to Henderson. Like, the young players look up to him. Everyone's got respect for him, even outside of Liverpool. When all the stuff with the NHS was going on, when all the stuff with the Super League was going on,
carried himself like a leader.
I read something in the I think it was the Athletic, and all the captains in the Premier League have like a WhatsApp group. It's not like an active chat, but it's there just in case like things need to be done. And he's kind of looked at as like the captain of the captains within the Premier League.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Like off the field, he's a incredible guy, and you'll always miss a personality like that if they were to leave. So he's not someone I'd be looking to. I think Milner as well. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Milner. I don't really even enjoy seeing Milner on the pitch anymore. But he's a person that, like, I'd love to see get a coaching role or something. Because
you can see that.
Yeah, certain players just have an effect. It was a bit like when Company left. His last season, his last 18 months, he wasn't playing week in, week out.
Yeah,
but someone like that
he was
will
a
affect
rock.
every game. Yeah. Just with the words at halftime or before a game or in the week in training, like big personalities are hard to come by, and they have a big effect in football.
They are, and I remember when we had a squad full of them. Man, Chelsea had a squad full of
John Terry, Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba.
That's what I'm saying. These guys that could just lead themselves, Peter Cech and all them. These guys that could just lead themselves
big,
on the field.
Big men, like big leaders. And you look back at every successful team. You look, Roy Keane and Ryan Giggs. Oh,
even to be fair, no, I know, but even to be
on
fair,
the pitch and around the football ground, like Vieira, Henry, like
Gerard,
even
Carragher, them kind of characters.
Like it's them qualities that you can't measure in terms of football talent. Like
you can't buy it. You can't train that. You can't train that. You can't coach that.
And like you say, I think Arsenal have got like a lot of talented players, and even like during this decline, they've had a lot of talented players. But where's that? Who's that for Arsenal? Like, when was the last time they had that? It's been a long time. Do you know what I mean? And
who really have they had of any kind of, I don't know, that's left an impact on my memory since Vieira.
Yeah.
To be honest, who have they had as captain since what? Fabregas, he had the armband and he was a baby. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not an Arsenal fan, so about a couple of dons, you know what I'm saying? But I hear you.
But it's been a slow decline. It's been a long time coming. And,
it's been slowly but surely. And the sad thing is in their case is that it's been a piss take, because for over a decade, even the fans could see themselves what the problems were. And if that's the case for a decade, that people who have not studied and taken this seriously for a minute in their lives are all coming to common agreement and saying, these are the issues, there's serious fucking problems.
When fans can see it and rivals can see it, and it's staring you in the face, and things aren't being done at the club. I mean, not privy to everything, but you can see that loads of mistakes have been made. It reminds me of like the early 2010s Liverpool, to be honest. That's what it feels like I'm watching season after season.
I think it's worse. And I think that if it continues to go on, dare I say it, they might become like Leeds.
Oh, it's
because nobody saw this coming, because it was only a decade ago. Well, we're in 2021 now. Wow. So just over a decade ago, they won the league, and now they're struggling to finish in the top half of the table. And now the dynamics have changed from a perspective that the Premier League money that's being shared around the 20 teams in the league, and even the ones getting parachute payments coming up, it's a way more even playing field than it was back then.
Yeah, it just gets harder every year. It gets harder to claw your way back. And like I say, when I look back to like the early 2010s Liverpool and a little bit after, we hit a miracle like with Jurgen Klopp, like, and there's not another Jurgen Klopp out there. But Arsenal don't even look like they're ready to change the manager yet.
They've had opportunities. They've had ample opportunities to do it and to pick a proven winner. And even I was screaming last season, obviously struggled to finish in the top half of the table. You go to Nagelsmann, right? You're not fucking broke. Offer him more than what Bayern are gonna offer him, and start your transition.
But your current gaffer, Tuchel, he was there before you guys snapped him up. And like you say, I think we got lucky with Klopp. I say we got lucky. Yeah, we did, really. When you look back on it, we'd have been probably still in the wilderness if we'd have got that appointment wrong. And I think it's a long road before we see Arsenal challenging for the league and regularly back in the Champions League again.
No, 100%.
I'm not too gutted about it, but
Yeah, neither am I. Neither am I. Long may it continue. Long may it continue. But it's one of those that listen. We're gonna bring this one to an end. Shout out yourself, Dec. I just want to throw out a couple plugs before we actually go off. Catch me on the last episode of Back Again. We were discussing Lukonga and Arsenal's new signings, amongst one or two topics on Chelsea. Also, check out the last video that we done on this channel as well. Special guests Kenny Ken, Lee Judges, Roma featured on that one. So that one's definitely a good watch. And make sure you like, share, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. Listen, man, it was only like 10 days ago I was asking you lot, I need 300 followers. Now we're almost on 350. So your support is really, really appreciated. Dec, thank you very much for joining me again today. I'm
No
pretty sure I'm going
problem.
to see you soon. It's like I was saying, I reckon the transfers are going to start picking up from next week. So hopefully we can have you on weekly to discuss the new transfer news, bro.
100%, bro. Yep, anytime.
All right, then, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in again. Like, share, subscribe. Bless.